Hello, Rebecca.
Hello, Phil.
Another great recording coming up today. We're talking to Marten Lewis of Bluestone. What do we know about them?
So Bluestone is a stunning short break destination which is tucked away in Pembrokeshire National Park in Wales. So everything, think woodland lodges, spas, adventure activities, the whole package. It's like the perfect UK staycation destination. I'm really excited to hear what their for good story is. And I think when you're a business based within a national park, it's not an add-on, is it? It's the core of your being as a business. So really excited to hear what they have to say, what Marten has to say.
Yeah, I've been spoken to Marten once or twice before. I mean, this is sustainability on steroids. And I tell you what, it's a lesson to all, I think. So let's get into it.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
5
minutes for good. Welcome, Marten Lewis, to your 5 minutes for good. Thanks for joining this series of the podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. But before we begin and get into your 5 minutes for good, tell those who don't know you a little about yourself.
So my name is Marten Lewis, and I'm the Director of Sustainability here at Bluestone National Park Resort in beautiful sunny Pembrokeshire, West Wales. And my remit really here is around net zero, energy transition, developing a circular economy model, biodiversity. We've got 500 beautiful acres. And also I'm the chair of the Bluestone Foundation, which is the charitable arm, sort of philanthropic arm of Bluestone. It's not a standalone charity, but we link with a local charity that helps to distribute the funds and keep the transparency of the function open. So it's a kind of a really broad remit here at Bluestone, all about sustainability in the social, the economic, and the environmental aspects all collectively. And I sit on the operational board, which means that sustainability has a seat at the table, so to speak. So that's kind of my position here at Bluestone.
Wonderful. Well, Marten, this is the moment where I say to you, Marten Lewis, this is your 5 minutes for good. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so very, very little bit more about myself, because the Bluestone is a force for good. I was drawn to it by my own sort of ambition to find something purposeful that made me feel like I was at least working towards good in the role that I was doing. So I returned to education at age 28, having had a kind of a uneventful life up until then, disengaged in school, and but got to 28 and realized there was more to life than what I was doing. So returned to education, looking for something that really filled me with passion. That was the environment. Did a degree in environmental science around marine and coastal, and I volunteered for a charity, ended up being the chief executive of that charity, called the Darwin Centre in Pembrokeshire. And that charity was all about engaging and infusing young people in science and engineering through the lens of sustainability. So that got me into this whole world of trying to do good. That got my attention, bought by Bluestone. They supported us. We worked with them. They then invited me to Bluestone to take on the role of bringing together all of the sustainability aspects of the business into a brand new department around sustainability and leading it. That led to me becoming the director of sustainability when they created that role on the operational board. So that's a quick snapshot of where... Yeah. And now I've got 4 minutes more now to just tell you a bit about in between. So I was attracted to Bluestone because it was a business that was set up in 2008 by a dairy farmer who transitioned his farm into a resort and transformed the landscape. And the vision was to be a force for good. It wanted to bolster the local economy. It wanted to create local jobs. It wanted to have a local supply chain. It wanted to improve the biodiversity outcomes and landscapes of what was a sort of a barren dairy farm at the time. All of those things were coming to fruition really well, and that really attracted me to Bluestone. Its honesty, its integrity around being a force for good. But they wanted to go next level. There's new legislation coming down the line around ESG, and net zero was coming through, and they didn't have that expertise to do that. And that's where they saw me as somebody that could help. So that filled me with purpose, and I felt that I was joining a force for good as an additional force. So that's an incredible feeling and a real privilege to be able to do that. So a little bit more about that story. coming into the business, which was already in a good place, we looked at the net zero piece, and the first decision was made that we've got a really big opportunity here as a sort of a standalone business. It was quite a flexible, dynamic business, family owned. 30% of the business was owned by the staff. By this stage, we've been gifted by the owner and CEO, which allowed the business to be really agile. So the first thing I said was, let's decarbonize. Let's look at scopes 1 and 2. The energy part of our net zero mix, and we smashed into that really, really well. They had a great track record. Being the force for good that they are, and they'd already set some great standards around using local sustainable biomass to heat the pool here, which was a UK first. We took it on from there. So we looked at where do we use fuels that we could eliminate the fossil fuels from. So the dream was to become fossil fuel free in all of our operations. So we looked at our vehicle fleet, and we that was quite easy. We can decarbonize that. Lots of investment, obviously. So we transitioned to electric on our small vehicles. The larger vehicles, tractors. It's an old farm, lots of hills. We needed some tractors on site. So we've transitioned those to hydro-treated vegetable oil, HVO, whilst we await for technology and legislation to help us to be able to afford, an electric tractor, which might come at some stage. We've also transitioned all of our cooking from LPG to bio-LPG, whilst we slowly transition to electric induction cookers. 2 of our restaurants have been done. We've got another 6 to go, such as the size of Bluestone. So, in welcoming 200,000 guests a year and having 850 staff, we've got lots and lots of stakeholders that we always engage with. So that piece around stakeholders has always been massive. We've tried really hard to engage with them, and they keep telling us, both staff and guests, that they like sustainability. It's something that adds value to what we do. And we're a business that's trying to create a brand that aligns with the values of these aspirational guests that we have. The next big phase was around circular economy, and we started to look at all the different ways that the business can really push the way that we procure into a much better place, creating loops and hoops where we can. And we were described recently by an academic as an exemplar anchor organization in that space. All of these things combined together, and this continuous drive for improvement allowed us to apply last year for a King's Award. And we became the first resort in the UK to win a King's Award for sustainable development. And that was a very proud moment. And that was the moment that we felt that we'd been recognized for all of the good intention and vision that was here, and the platform now for us to step into the future and be an even greater force for good going forwards.
Amazing. Well, Martin, I'm going to say, you bang on 5 minutes there. There's so much to run through here. There are many other brands out there that want to do what you're doing, and yet you're there. You've got the King's Award. You've been held aloft as the champions of sustainable travel business. So do you find other brands that come into you and say, hey, where are we going right and wrong kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that framing of being a Welsh business around the Future Generations Act is really important. And that one of the things that we champion here is the sharing of best practice with everybody. There's a global crisis around, nature, climate crisis, even a social crisis, and now there's even a peace type crisis going on around the planet. And, the more businesses that are trying to do the right things, that can share what they do, help inspire others, support others, the better. So, we've worked with Welsh Government many times as a case study for various things around, waste recycling and water use and other aspects. We also work with the Future Generations Commissioner here in Wales, and we've been held up as a case study for various things around that, where we share broadly. I've ventured across the Severn Bridge into England many times and given keynote speeches at various events. Linked to the UN Global Compact, for instance. I've given webinars to international audiences as well through some of the tourism routes into education as well. So we're very, very keen to share. We've also set up, we co-founded here in Pembrokeshire with the Port of Milford Haven, Trustport here in the county. We set up an organisation which is like a non-competitive voluntary collaboration in the county with the local authority as well, called the Sustainable Enterprise Alliance. And this is all about sharing our expertise around sustainability with the entire supply chain here in Pembrokeshire. Whether they're our supply chain or not doesn't matter. And we've got a really large local supply chain, very proud of that. But there are many businesses that we don't procure from, because we wouldn't buy the services and product that they sell, but we support them as well. And we give these free sessions, free advice, signposting, helping them to understand the commercial benefit of sustainability, why it's good to move early, and helping them to dodge a lot of the snake oil that's out there that people are profiting from when they capture these smaller companies in particular that are a little bit caught in the headlights of sustainability and net zero, and they're looking for support and they're prepared to pay for it and they're being taken advantage of. So we do that, and we share all the time to try and help bring everybody up.
I guess when we really focus in on your customer base, your families that come and stay with you for periods, how does this rub off onto them? Do they notice this, or are they just having a very lovely time?
They do notice it. We survey guests often to ask them what they like, all kinds of different questions, but sometimes we'll ask them about sustainability. And 97% of our guests, and 3,500 people responded to this survey, told us that sustainability was important to them. 94% of them said that climate change was something that we should all play a part in addressing. So that's them accepting responsibility and expecting us to do so as well. 89% of them said that they would pay more for a sustainable product. Well, that's great. That aligns with some of the research that's coming through around sustainability being important. So in 2025, the latest Mintel report, 71% of UK holidaymakers are interested in seeing information about sustainability of a holiday or a resort before they make a booking. So it's showing that this is important as part of that booking journey. So we know it's important. We know that our staff find it really important. So we're really, really sure that our stakeholders, internal and external, think that sustainability is really important and that it's a value that they hold and it aligns with our values. And that's if you want to be loved, you need to have empathy, shared values, shared goals, and those types of emotive kind of relationships with your customers.
I guess in many respects that plays into the whole thing. If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely, and that's very much what's happened here. I mean, you can probably see behind me that it looks like Bluestone is in this beautiful woodland, and it is now, but this was just green pastures only 20 years ago. You know, we've planted 60 acres of woodland, we've created lakes, we've regenerated wildflower meadows, we've got all kinds of other different variant types of meadow here with different habitats. We manage the site as a nature reserve, really. I mean, a big survey was done here by the Wildlife Trust consultancy a few years ago and said that we had a 50% biodiversity net gain, and we were heading for that over the course of 30 years, 17 years in. And that was in keeping with what they would have expected in that time frame from a nature reserve. So you know, there's a real authenticity about what we're doing here, and we really are transforming and you know, nurturing something special.
Well, I'm going to ask you a final question here, which has fascinated me. And I remember when you told me this when the first time we met, that your roads, one of the main ingredients of the roads that you build around the site is made from nappies. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's a great story, something we're very proud of. So back in the mid-2010s, as our client base was building, our target markets, you know, is mostly sort of primary school aged children, multi-generational families. Very often there is a baby or a small child, very often in nappies. So, you know, we generate about 500,000 disposable nappies a year here. And we were pressing our sanitary waste company called Natural UK, based here in West Wales, for, well, what can we do with these nappies? There's got to be something better than them going into black bags. But they weren't going to landfill, they were going to energy from waste. But still, what can we do? We can't try and get everybody to switch to a Terry's nappy. People are going to use these things, particularly on holidays. What can we do? They were already working on some technology that they were trying to develop, and organizations like us telling them that there was a need for this really drove them on. They created globally the first recycling center that can actually recycle disposable nappies. Almost 100% of that nappy can be recycled into fibers. One of the fibers is cellulose, and there are various things that you can use that for, making notice boards, etc. We've got them around. But so in 2017, we became the first business in the world to send nappies to be recycled at Nappy Cycle in Ammanford in West Wales. And then 2 years ago, when they were going through the research and development process of using the fibers as an additive in asphalt, road surfaces. You've got your gravel and you've got your bitumen oil bastes. You need something like the flour in a cake to homogenize that and bring it together. Historically, or most often, that is a virgin product. And they wanted to try and replace that virgin product with a recycled product. And this cellulose fiber had this amazing effect, which they're now rolling out literally across Wales at the moment on various roads. And we were the first business in the world to lay this cellulose impregnated asphalt here on our 80 newest lodges, all of their driveways and paths. About 60,000 nappies worth of cellulose fibers are in that tarmac, in that asphalt surface. And all 60,000 of those nappies all came from Bluestone. So it's as close, as tight a circle as we can make on that, other than obviously, it'd be great if there were no disposable nappies. But given that we have this, then we're trying to make that as circular as possible. And we're really proud. It's a great story and people love it. And the roads don't smell. They don't smell, obviously. People always go, well, do they smell? I say, of course they don't smell. You know, there's a huge process involved to get these really refined fibers out.
Well, I love that story. It's one of those rare gems that you get that you never forget. And I will never forget that. Well, Martin, you know, it is a fascinating story. It also intrigues me that a farmer has the foresight to turn a dairy farm into what is one of the most sustainable travel environments in the world. It's quite a story, and I implore anybody out there to go and find out more and go and stay, obviously, because I think this is one of those very rare stories. It's fantastic. But Martin, this is the moment where I ask you to drop your guard and go a little bit off piste and ask you if there's one thing you could do for 5 minutes that isn't necessarily for good, what might that be?
Wow.
the look on your face.
Yeah. I tell you what, is it good? Is it not? I don't know. I've been spending the last few years trying to get myself fit. I reached 50 a few years ago, and I thought, right, I need to get myself fit. I've got a young daughter. What can I do? So I've been watching my diet, keeping fit. If I could do something that wasn't for good for 5 minutes, I would eat as much ice cream as I possibly could for 5 minutes until I felt sick.
Love it. Let me know when you're doing it. I'll be there with you.
Fantastic.
Well, Marten Lewis, thank you. That was 5 minutes very well spent.
Brilliant. Oh, well, thanks. Thanks for your support. It's really, really appreciate it.
That was 5 minutes well spent.
Wow, where to begin there?
Endless things for us to talk about there. But I guess for me to start with, as someone with an 18-month-old toddler, disposable nappies just resonated so much with me because babies are not sustainable products. My goodness, the amount of nappies that you go through makes me feel so guilty for the planet. And that is an incredible story as to their sustainable solution there. I loved it.
I really feel like I want to put my finger on what it is. It's a labour of love. It's a passion. And the deep knowledge and the extent to which they've gone to, it throws a shadow over so many others who are trying to do it. But the King's Award, they're held aloft globally as being the shining beacon of how to do this. It's incredible.
Absolutely. And I think the way that Martin talks about it, there's no ego. All there is a desire to share their knowledge, to be a case study, to talk on international webinars. And I really love the Sustainable Enterprise Alliance, which is all just about handing over their knowledge to other people, talking about the commercials. And, I guess that's overlooked or such a concern for so many businesses. Well, how do I be sustainable and still run a commercial business? Yeah. And for Bluestone to sort of pass off as much information and knowledge as they have is just brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of those you wish, we all do our sort of promotion of our businesses and brands and things like that. And sometimes you wish you could just drop little moments into everybody's minds, just to listen to the people at the heart of the business, tell it with such passion. And Martin really does that so well. I mean, again, we could have gone on for hours with this one, because where do you begin, middle and end? The farmer who had the foresight to do this, just amazing. Well, that was great. And
a lovely 5 minutes well spent.
A really lovely 5 minutes well spent. Right. Nice to see you. See you later. Bye.